Bath, Maine is known as the city of ships. That is the town's motto. And it has always had that deep connection to the sea. 100 years ago, it would have been shipyards up and down this river, just producing ships, these beautiful sailing vessels that sailed all over the world.
Thanks for coming, folks. What you see today is really a result of all the volunteers and wonderful board members. And this is what you see behind us.
When we launch the ship today, we launch a new chapter in the legacy of the Mid-Coast and of Maine.
This is a special vessel in that it was a reproduction of the first vessel that was built, well, first English vessel that was built in North America, really, and the beginning of shipbuilding on the Kennebec.
When I came here in 1968, people said if there was a colony, it eroded into the Kennebec River, and it's just a myth. So I didn't teach about the Popham Colony. I taught about Jamestown.
The Popham Colony had been essentially lost. Some historians knew that it existed. It's a sister colony to Jamestown, which everyone has heard of. And the reason they've heard of it was that it survived, just barely.
The Popham Colony is a really unique moment in not just Maine history, but the history of the United States. You know, the first English northern colony. And nobody's heard of it. I mean, even in Maine, nobody's heard of it. School kids aren't taught about this, as crucial as it really was. And of course, you know, this was the first English vessel built in the New World, and here we are in the city of ships.
The Popham Project, as I call it, was the archaeological dig. The other project was the Virginia Project, as it was first named. It's now Maine's first ship, was a separate project, although many of the people were involved in both.
We needed to do something, and you can't just let something like that pass when you find out that 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet from your home, first English vessel was built, and what could have been the first English permanent colony was built. You kind of got to do something. At first, it was pretty simplistic. We wanted to build a ship, teach kids how to sail it. It took on much more meaning as time went on.
Here you were building a visual piece of history for people to come to be able to walk around on, to get an idea of what your forefathers went through 400 years ago. It's just kind of a unique experience to maybe help ground you and put you a little bit more into perspective and do something that will benefit the community and maybe help teach people about their past.
This ship was built by volunteers. We had one shipwright, Rob, a few people other than Rob that had a pretty good idea what they were doing. And then there were the rest of us who just waited for direction and got it and helped anywhere we could.
I had been building boats, small boats, for a number of years. They've gotten bigger over the years, but none of them have approached this type of work. In the middle of winter, I showed up here at the freight shed. Rob Stevens organized the group. He said, "All right, let's get going here." And he looked around at everybody, and he says, "We got anybody new here, or did somebody shave?" And I raised my hand. I said, and he immediately says, "Well, I got a project for you." He said, "Come on over here." He says, "You like cutting on wood?" I forget what the project was. The point was that I was brought immediately into the activities of the day. He was glad to have one more person, but he was also glad to have another person who wanted to think about this and learn about this ship and work on it.
The great thing about this project is that we try to include everybody. You know, we try to welcome everybody, and they come in, and doesn't matter if they don't have a single skill, and the fact that they want to be a part of it is just great. And it doesn't matter the speed with which we get stuff done. I mean, it's much more important that somebody can sit there and say, yeah, I helped build that boat, you know. It may be that they swept up underneath it. I don't care. That is just as necessary as anything else. I mean, I love having all these different people participate. You know.
Education is really one of the crucial components of any kind of sailing ship program such as this. I mean, that really is what we're all about, is education. You know, people love to see the ship and it's fun to sail it around, but ultimately we're about teaching on many different levels.
Away, haul away, the good ship now is rolling, come back, way, haul away, we'll haul
Any
away.
opportunity like this for students to use their hands and do something that they feel proud of. They like being around others and enjoyed being a part of something and getting some skills that weren't just woodworking. They did get some woodworking skills and all the things that go along with that, problem solving, you know, the mathematical piece of it. But it's really this confidence, a feeling of belonging, work ethic. And hopefully they walked away with one of those things, with confidence, with skills, with experience.
To have my kids have the experience of being a part of this project, of building a ship. They may never have had any other kind, and they may never in the rest of their lives have another kind of experience, but at least once they did. I really just think of it as an investment, you know, in their future as well as mine. They would never have had that opportunity. They never would have seen an archaeologist or talked to an archaeologist or thought about being an archaeologist. You cannot put a price on that kind of education. It's really just amazing.
It's very inspiring because it makes me feel like this is something that I can spend 20 years of my life doing, you know? We kept coming back to continue to learn, and I'm sad that it's ending, you know? I want to keep coming back.
There was so much pride for every one of us. And watching it go into the river and then be towed down to the dock, and it was just the most glorious day. We knew there was still more to be done, but this was the important part, and everything had worked out. And for a group of volunteers only, it was just one of the highlights of your life. Great, great day.
With the Virginia completed and soon to be sailing, I think that gives another era of opportunity for students to have meaningful experiences with their peers and build some positive relationships.
It brings such a pride of place to Bath, and kids and adults know that Bath has a place in the unfolding history of the country, and they can be proud.
The maritime history of this country is such an integral part of who we are. As a historian, I think it's valuable to use these ships as a teaching tool. So that's really what these ships mean to me. They mean a visceral connection to the past. And it's the best means for bringing that history to life, to people. You know, museum displays can be boring, textbooks can be boring. Everybody loves to see a sailing ship, and we hope to see it become something that will always be a source of pride for people in Bath.